Hey guys, welcome to The Strong Young Man. When we were young, we were able to gather knowledge and abilities on all sorts of matters. One of the reasons for this is that we were so open to learning new things. This is because we were conscious of our own incompetence. As we age, we gather knowledge and abilities and we become competent. What we are aware that we don't know becomes what we're aware that we do know. This is a universally good thing. You might think that eventually you reach the state of omniscience. However, this is never the case. There are always new things to learn if you're open to it. Most of the time, we aren't even aware this unknown knowledge or abilities even exist. Rarely do we ever consider that there is knowledge and abilities that we don't even know of. If we fail to consider that there could be things that we don't know, we become more rigid in our thinking. It is at this point that we shut ourselves off from learning new things. This shift in attitude may come about because people believe they have undertaken sufficient learning. How could there be anything more to learn? People may also shut themselves off to learning new things because they have developed their ego to the level that it becomes too hard to humble themselves in the presence of others and take on new information or feedback. Whatever the case, we are presuming that there is a finite amount of things to learn that we don't know of. Abstractly, this makes sense, but practically, it could not be further from the truth. Learning new things opens your mind up to things that you didn't even comprehend before. By discovering new concepts, you will become aware of how little you really know. Think of the last 100 years, how much the human race has discovered. This is because people were open to discovering the unknown and educating themselves on new concepts. This is called progressing your knowledge and skills up the hierarchy of competence. The 4 stages of competence are unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and unconscious competence. Unconscious incompetence is where you aren't even aware that you are incompetent at a skill. Using an example of driving a car, in your early years of life, there is a time where you aren't even aware of the existence of the skill of driving a car. Conscious incompetence is when you become aware that you are incompetent at a skill. At some point in your life, you identify that driving is a skill, and you identify that you do not have the ability to perform that skill. Conscious competence is where you are aware of a skill that you have, and you have the capacity to perform that skill, but only when you actively put your mind to it. As a teenager, you learn to drive a car, but it takes extreme concentration in the beginning. Inexperience requires you to actively put your mind to work in order to execute that skill. Distractions such as the radio, electronic devices, and casual conversations hinder your driving ability to a significant degree. Unconscious competence is where you have developed the skill to the point that you can perform it unconsciously. That is to say that you are able to perform this skill without actively putting your mind to it. After several years of driving, it becomes automatic and you can drive on autopilot. In order to progress up the hierarchy of competence, you first need to understand that there are things out there that you just don't know of. This will increase your ability to bring what you aren't aware you don't know into some level of consciousness. Everything in life should be approached with a desire to learn. Sometimes people will put up a fierce resistance to learning new things. For these people, their ego is too invested in their own intelligence, and they are unwilling to accept that there is a limitation to that intelligence. People like this will further their resistance to learning by aggressively dismissing the information or ignoring it completely. Sometimes people with this type of ego will go off and research the truth in private and discover the new information for themselves. According to this person, this is a great option because no one becomes aware of the limitations of their intelligence. This is an ego preservation tactic. Private research does help you to learn the topic without sacrificing your ego, but it comes at the expense of learning everything that was on offer. The lack of intellectual modesty hinders your ability to have a back and forth discussion with someone that you might be able to learn something from. Everyone understands that the best way to teach children is face-to-face in a classroom, having discourse with their teacher, which enables them to fill in their lack of understanding on various topics. Children then have the ability to ask more questions to clarify the answers that they've received to previous questions. Children do not learn as well when reading or researching in private. In your learnings, employ intellectual modesty to open up your mind to learning new things from others in the moment. The great philosopher Socrates was the first to conceptualize intellectual modesty. To an audience, he would start by demonstrating his own ignorance or lack of knowledge on a particular topic. Any knowledge that people said he had was merely reputation and not genuine. Then he would feed the audience's egos by praising individuals so that they felt comfortable enough to engage in dialogue. Socrates would then begin to dissect their statements and often find holes in their arguments. He was able to make others see the problems with their ideas without criticising them. This would result in the individual questioning their ideas about what they know. In this frame of mind, they would be more open to real knowledge. Cooperative argumentative dialogue between individuals is known as the Socratic method, to which Socrates and later other philosophers methodically sorted through ideas and suppositions. Two rational men engaging in Socratic discourse with each other is something truly amazing to witness. Many great ideas and developments of the modern era have been conceptualized through Socratic discourse. I can tell you personally that the best design concepts in my engineering career have come from collaborative thinking and Socratic discourse from within my team. Make sure you open your mind up to learning new things. Paradoxically, by pretending you lack intelligence, you will be able to unlock the full potential of your intellect. Once you've confronted this difficult concept, you can begin to consolidate on your learning. Some of the things that you learn you may desire to progress up the hierarchy of competence to mastery. To progress to stage 3 of the hierarchy of competence, you will need to learn the basics of the skill through constant participation and practice. The only thing that separates the third stage from the final stage is many, many hours of practice. It is commonly identified that to master a complex skill at an elite level, you need approximately 10,000 hours of practice. This equates to approximately 14 years of driving 2 hours a day. Many people who have obtained mastery in their field have done so through practice and repetition, totaling 10,000 hours. Mozart was attributed as being a child prodigy with a natural talent for music. While he was born with this natural talent, the reason he became a master composer was because he practiced in obscurity starting from 4 years of age to total 10,000 hours by the time he was 13. He progressed his natural ability up the hierarchy of competence through concentrated dedication to this one purpose. By the time he was a teenager, he obtained mastery. If you have a natural talent or a gift, aim to progress your natural ability up the hierarchy of competence. Masters are those who combine a natural talent or gift with extreme concentration and dedication to practicing their talent. If you don't have a natural talent or gift out of the ordinary, then you can still obtain unconscious competence in several domains. Extreme concentration and dedication can see you reach a high level of competence. To do this, you just need concentrated practice and repetition, especially when the going gets tough. Understand that people who have the drive to work hard can often overcome a talented individual who lacks the dedication to their practice. In the words of Calvin Coolidge, nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. This should give hope to those of you out there who are wishing to develop abilities in domains to which you possess no natural talent. Unfortunately, it is unlikely that you will obtain mastery in the same way that a person who combines their natural talent or gift with the same extreme concentration and dedication. Understand that people just never want to hear that success takes years and years of hard work and dedication. People would rather attribute a person's success to an innate ability. It is easier to consider that a person's success has bypassed the requirement for hard work, because then there is an acceptable explanation for that person not achieving the same level of success. This person can then continue on with their life without applying themselves and then attribute their lack of success to circumstances outside of their control. If people had to accept that individual successes takes years and years of hard work, then they would also have to accept that they lack the discipline to be successful. Lacking discipline is a behaviour that is within one's own self-control. It's very difficult for a person to see their own inadequacies and much easier to blame an extrinsic factor. Personal inadequacies are a concept that is often too hard for some people to accept, and so a person's ego will seek to qualify the success of another by attributing it to luck or natural ability. This prevents them from accepting the truth that they lack the discipline to achieve something, which protects their ego from damage. You need to erase this understanding from your own consciousness. Progressing your knowledge and skills up the hierarchy of competence is one of the best investments you can make. Understand that the more you can do unconsciously, the more mental capacity you have to take on new things. This can be cross-functional, where obtaining mastery in one domain can assist you in obtaining mastery in another domain at an accelerated rate. It can also allow you to understand new concepts at a more complex level due to developing the brain's ability to take on new information. Despite what we think, the neuronal circuits in the brain can take on infinite information. It just needs the right attitude, determination, and application. The more you learn, the faster you will learn new things, and the more frequently you will come into awareness of more things that you do not know. The increased frequency of this occurrence will force you to become humbler, and hence further increase the amount you can learn. The more you're reminded of this, the more humbler you become. This will ensure you increase your learning at an exponential rate as you move through life. If at any stage of your life you notice that your learning noticeably slows, then understand that this comes from a lack of dedication to learning, and not because you've learned all there is to know. Be on the lookout for this and seek to correct this issue to ensure that you are always progressing something up the hierarchy of competence. Final thought from Confucius. To know that we know what we know, and to know that we do not know what we do not know, that is true knowledge. And from Socrates. Although I do not suppose that either of us knows anything really beautiful and good, I am better off than he is, for he knows nothing and thinks that he knows. I neither know nor think that I know. Thanks for watching today's episode. In episode 73, I'll be discussing why you must possess an ownership mentality. Subscribe and click the bell icon to be notified when it drops. Catch you then.